The scholar and author Christoph Wolff says of Bach's Goldberg Variations, on one level, it's simply a beautiful keyboard work. On another, it's a Rubik's Cube of invention and architecture. It's a work that has been explored recently by the pianist Lang Lang, one of the most celebrated artists in the world. And we're so fortunate that he's here in the Jerome L. Greene performance space at WQXR to share some of his insights with us. I'm Chef Spurgeon, so glad you're here as well. Lang Lang, welcome.
Hi, Jack.
It's wonderful to see you.
Thank you. Same here.
You discovered or were exposed to the Goldberg Variations when you were about 9 or 10 through
Yes.
Glenn Gould's recording.
Yes, I was watching the old tape, videotape, with Glenn playing the later recording.
The second of his
two.
two.
The second, yeah,
studio
because the first one, I don't think they even have an image, I think. Maybe they do, but I never seen it. But the second one. And I was really overwhelmed by his Bach interpretation. Because before him, I thought Bach was kind of a very Baroque, way very academic, the way supposed to be, what do you call it? But then I heard the Glenn Gould version. First of all, I mean, he played, there's a lot of voices are like out of this world, and also the way he was like humming with the song. Yeah, he was kind of singing some of the inner voice, and you kind of read his mind, right. And then you kind of say, oh, okay, if this is for the repeat, I will do this. And then, of course, his famous squeaky chair,
right.
Very, in a very low level, and he sits so low, and he almost like. It's like he's trying to hiking the piano.
Right. The approach was so individual and the sound so distinctive that he rocked the world with
absolutely
those
the
things.
best. Yeah, simply the best.
When you began to play it, were you just starting it as, I guess, an exercise? Got to learn this piece. Here we go.
Yeah, beginning was more like I tried to learn the notes, and I mean it's. A lot of passages, almost like an etude, for example, like. So in the same time, I was practicing, and then so I kind of practiced with Chopin etude in the same time,
right?
And I thought this is a great to train my absolute technique and balancing. But obviously, from the very beginning, I know this piece is so hard to play because I already know the passage like. It's beautiful content. And so in a way that I know this piece is not for me to play now. And I mean, that time.
Right. Well, 28 years, more than a quarter century from the time that you first met this piece until you were able to feel comfortable to present it to an audience.
Yes.
So it is a long evolution. Would you, to share in the time that we have together, would you like to play something for us, either the aria or one of the variations?
Sure, of course. I would like to first maybe play one of my favorite, which is Variation 1.
Okay.
Right after the aria, obviously.
Long Long, and the first of the Goldberg Variations. You mentioned, of course, that Glenn Gould made the 2 recordings several years apart. You also made 2 recordings, but not several years apart. You chose to do
2 weeks apart.
and to release 2 recordings at the same time, one a live recording and one a studio recording. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, actually, I didn't plan that way. I only planned for a real studio recording because I'm kind of buying the ideas from Glenn Gould. He believes with this type of work, he has to do it in the studio.
Well, but he was also not comfortable after a while playing in front of people.
In your live
so
concert, right.
so that was his safe space. I don't know, is the recording studio the safe space for you, or is the concert hall a safer space?
See, that's the thing. I mean, and then, so this is quite interesting. So I actually played a concert in I played a concert in the St. Thomas Church, which is in
the
March,
church in Leipzig where Bach
March
was in
5th,
service.
Yeah, and then his grave is next to it, and so I was really learning the history, the path of Bach from his first church, which is like 2 hours drive from Leipzig, and to learn how he played on his harpsichord and the Baroque organ. This was great musicians there showed me how it worked.
Yes, there's a wonderful video of you with the organ in Arnstadt.
Right.
Very old instrument.
Yeah, the first one. And so in a way that night I played quite unique, even though that was only my second performance. But
so was the recording supposed to be sort of an archival recording?
Yeah, that's it. It's for some kind of a documentary use only. So we didn't actually really thought that's going to be just kind of like a DVD of the making of this recording. And then I went into the studio 2 weeks after. But in this 2 weeks, I really did a lot of work on the Goldberg. So I already kind of forget about how I played in the St. Thomas Church. But I remember it was a very special evening. Yeah, and then after the recording of the studio version, I'm like, yeah, maybe I should listen to what I did in Leipzig. Maybe I find something. Maybe I can use the ideas to put in those variations together. Because in the studio, you don't really play like concert. You can go every variation, you can do 5 takes, and then you can maybe make the break slightly longer or make the break slightly shorter, and there are a lot of things you can do. The sound quality, you want to be more like a harpsichord, and this is more like a overture type of sound on the different menu on the harpsichord, and here I want to be more like an organ, like. And then like the bass, and sometimes I like to be more lyric, like a piano. And then sometimes I like to be real harpsichord with a unicoder, like. So the sky is the limit, right, for this type of sound. And then I listened to the recording of the Leipzig live performance, and I was like, wow, that was a great performance. I don't know, what should I do? Maybe some moment I feel it's even better than the studio recording, and it's too late for me to go back to the studio anymore. I'm already back to China, So, and then I'm like.
Well, so who said, why don't we do them both? Did you say that, or did somebody else say that?
It was kind of my idea, but then, I spoke to some friend. I was like, what do you think? And everybody listened. They said, it was quite different sound, and there are a lot of spontaneous interpretation in the Leipzig. So they think, yeah, that's pretty actually quite interesting. You should keep both.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, let's do it.
That's, I think, a brave thing to do, and also an informative thing to do to audiences, because every performance is different, and as you've said, in the studio you can edit, you can change, you can alter, you can redo.
Yeah, and also, the thing is that I would like to do it again. Maybe even not now, because I played quite different than before. Sure. Like the Carnegie Hall recital I just played.
Right.
I played a lot of interpretations are totally new, and when I compared, with the one before, I'm like, oh wow, this piece has something quite important, which is you're always trying to do something. This is something you always have it's like you have a second life. The first life is your and the second time is your repeats, with ornamentations, with the dissonant, the consonant, the cadence going down, the third goes up, the fifth goes down, and I mean there's a lot of augmented stuff, and
we'll pick another variation for us, maybe that, and then now that you've said that, we'll listen for that a little bit more carefully.
Sure. I mean, there's one variation for me. Maybe I will not play the repeat because it's very long. It's the variation 25. It's called it's the name was given by the great harpsichordist Lewandowska, Black Pearl, because this piece is so kind of as passive. Everything always goes down, and this is something that for me, this is the most beautiful and tragic moment in this piece. Yeah. So. I really like this, the big peak here. And then all the way goes down to very lonely, very, very depressed single note of G. Yeah, this is really so intensive, this passage.
Variation number 25 of the Goldberg Variations. And you mentioned the great harpsichordist, Wanda Landowska.
Yes.
You also, in thinking and working on the Goldberg Variations, studied a little bit with harpsichordist Andreas Schleyer. And the harpsichord looks easy to play, and it's an utter nightmare.
It's so hard. I tried. It's so hard.
So, but what did it? Because its expression is, it's more limited than the piano. That's why the piano's.
But what I learned from the harpsichord, there are a few things what I learned. First, I learned the touch, because I mean, harpsichord, you have this one, At the piano, you'll do. But in the harpsichord, it's very easy to do. It's just somehow, and also the way they play, like lightness. Because if you try heavy-handed, you cannot even run on the harpsichord. Right. So you can always. So this is a fantastic way of playing the Baroque music.
And so it taught you something about a piano touch, didn't it?
Yes. I learned from the harpsichord touch, and then I adapted on the piano.
Right. The Goldbergs are a long trip, a whole evening long. You can make and you do. You make an entire concert out of it.
Right.
So
don't drink too much water before.
Right. Important for you too.
Yeah. I mean, both. I feel extremely thirsty after this piece. Yeah.
So how do you make an arc of it, or do you worry about that?
Sure.
Is each variation a chapter in a book, or is there an arc over the larger piece?
So this piece, you can think of a few things. First of all, please think about this piece as the Egyptian pyramid. So this is absolutely, this perfect triangle. And so from the first, this is the beautiful the aria, until you play the 15th variation. And finish, right? So that's the first half. And then the second half, you start with the French overture, which is the Baroque organ. And to the end, this theme comes back again. The theme, when the theme comes back, you can choose if you want to do another repeat one more time, or you can just play simply without repeat. So this one. And then, but the real trick is not because you are cutting this piece in half. The real thing is the whole piece is not only built from the aria, which is important, the G major, but more important is the 9 canons, from the first one, the canon in 1, and then the canon the second one, and then so you see, and then you go like and then third, and then the fourth one goes down. So and then the fifth one goes to the contrary motion, or or the opposite, whatever motions the Bach always trying to achieve in a different kind of a diversified way of feature those 9 canons, and then and then the quarter libet, which is the family song, talking about how beautiful is the mother's cabbage soup. So in a way, the canons are the real, kind of the structure of the piece, and then each canon kind of divided by 1 or 2 variations in between. That's how it works.
You talked about experiencing new ideas in performance. So do you go in with a plan, or that might be different night to night? Tonight I'm going to think about about it this way, and then the next night you'd say, well, I'll try it another way. And what inspires those changes? Is it venue? Is it your own personal mood? Is it something you've learned about the piece from listening to a recent performance of your own or others?
This is a great question, because before Carnegie, I played in Chicago in the orchestra hall. I also, I love that hall. This is one of my favorite hall. And so that day, I had a kind of a very very interesting instrument. I had a more kind of with a bigger range of tones and volume of the sound. So in that night, I started playing a little bit more dramatic from Variation 1. But normally aria you don't do much because this is this is putting you to sleep, right? I mean, you don't want to have any nightmares first, right? And then so my Chicago performance was right on the beat, and I try to start to strategize in the very beginning to start going pretty forward with open ideas, comes in. But then at Carnegie Hall, it's a slightly bigger hall, and also the sound is more sostenuto, the hall. And then I had a little bit more refined Steinway that night. So I thought, let me go slightly slower to give out my cards, so maybe to give a slightly, simple cards, and then make a big dramatic move after Variation 26 to really go, kind of really go wonderful ideas, and everything should come out, and then to not reserve anymore after that. So that was my strategy, because it's very easy to let people read your mind in this piece, because it's a limited cards you have, and you just have to be kind of really thinking over and over, about how you do it. And this is something also, this piece will make you much more mature person, because normally you play a 40 minutes concerto, that's already very long. You already should strategize in 40 minutes, but this is, the way I play is 90 minutes. So I have to strategize 3 times longer. So this is a great challenge in life.
That's wonderful. The concert in Chicago, the concert in Carnegie Hall sold out, and people came, because I think that they would of course come for you, but I think that we are all having our little arguments with our anxiety about returning to being together after COVID.
Absolutely. This is a very emotional moment for me as well. First of all, I haven't played recital in these 2 cities. I mean, Chicago, I haven't played a recital like in 8 years. And New York, I haven't played a recital in 6 years. It's the COVID and plus some previous things.
You're busy. People like you elsewhere too. So
I mean, this is really emotional. The time I'm standing on both halls, I almost cried. It's just too much. This emotion really gave me some encouragement to play better.
The audiences are thrilled to be with each other and thrilled to be with the artist as well.
We feel very privileged.
Right. Yeah. What's happened to your foundation work during the pandemic?
It's hard. We changed our strategy. Instead of building more schools class, because there's no class. I mean, what we are trying to do is to get our great supporters, sponsors, to donate for each individual students a smart keyboard at home. So we had a piano track. This is almost like ice cream truck. You have this, you have this music comes in, something like that. Yeah, maybe this is the wrong piece. But
and people people ran into the street, but not for ice cream, but to get a keyboard.
Yeah. So we actually go into their home, knock their door, close your eyes. I mean, open your eyes. I'm sorry. Open your eyes, and then there's this, and then we try to bring the joy to the kid. I think we had more than like 2,000 or 3,000 keyboard, something like that.
That's wonderful. So you've adapted, and the work continues.
Yes.
So I know that your time is limited, and we're so grateful to you to have spent a little time with us to share your journey with the Goldbergs that you're once again sharing with audiences in concert halls in the country and around the world. That's a great thrill. I wonder, would you grace us with one more variation of your choice before you depart?
Sure. I will probably play the the Quarter Libet, which is the what you call the family reunion song. And I'm so happy to be back in this beautiful Greene Space, which is actually blue. It's the it's called the WQXR blue.
That's right.
And so I'm so happy to be back. And this is for you.
Delighted to have you. And yes, the family is coming back together.
Yeah.
A performance by Long Long. And we're so grateful to Long Long for taking the time to share some of his insights into the Goldberg Variations with us here at WQXR. And as he mentioned, we're in the Jerome L. Greene performance space, colored WQXR blue today. But we're very grateful to the Jerome L. Greene Foundation for their support and for your support of listener-supported classical New York, 105.9 WQXR. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone.